they want to do, what they desire. Their pride causes them to belittle others. A lot of times, instead of taking correction or any kind of rebuke at all, they'll just belittle you. They'll just talk to you and just start calling you names because they don't want to hear truth. They don't want to hear anything that might be beneficial to them. They will take, because of their pride, they will belittle others, especially those who try to correct them. Often, they can be very intelligent, and that's where the pride leads in, to where they feel like they're very prideful. They feel like they have all the answers. They don't need to hear from anybody else. They can make their own choices, own decisions, and they are witty. They can use their humor and their wittiness and their quickness to kind of throw people off. They use their voices to tear down rather than to build people up. That's what the mocker usually ends up doing. In Proverbs chapter 9, verse 7 through 8, whoever corrects a mocker invites insults. Whoever rebukes the wicked incurs abuse. So if you're trying to talk to somebody that's a mocker, all you're going to get back is a bunch of insults and hatred. You're going to get people that they don't like any correction. They don't want anybody to instruct them. They don't want to be taught. They don't want to be led. A mocker doesn't want any of that. They do not rebuke mockers, or they will hate you. They'll start despising you because you're trying to do what's best for them. You may care about the mocker, but the mocker doesn't want to hear from you. They don't want to hear your insight. They don't want to hear your thoughts. They don't want to hear anything that could add value to their life because they could care less. And if you try to correct them, you'll receive the rebuke. You will receive the abuse of the wicked. It invites insults. Looking at Proverbs chapter 13, verse 1, it says this: a wise son heeds his father's instructions. Man, don't you wish you had some of those? I'm kidding. Where's my kids at? They're helping out with church and stuff, and here I am dogging them out. Sorry. A wise son heeds his father's instructions, but a mocker does not respond to rebuke. And so they don't respond. They don't take it in. They don't value it. They don't care about it. They clearly do not want to hear from you about instruction. See, somebody that's wise is always going to be more inclined to learn something new. They desire learning. They ask good questions. They want to gain knowledge and wisdom from others that they're around. That's the path of the wise. They don't look at information or look at thoughts that people have as discouragement. They see value in learning from other people. They look at other people and say, what can I gain from you? What can I gain in knowledge and wisdom from each other? They look out. Chapter 15, verse 12. Mockers resent correction, so they avoid the wise. You wonder why mockers don't hang around the wise? It's the same reason wise people don't hang around mockers, is because they're in two total different categories. Mockers don't want to hear correction. They don't want to be reminded of what truth is. They want to do what's right in their own eyes and their own heart, and they want to follow their own path. Wise people look out for other people that are wise because they want to seek truth. They want to find out what's the real answer. They don't think of themselves as always knowing what is right. They still have growth that they need. A wise person doesn't ever arrive to their place that they're done, that they've accomplished enough, that they're finished. So no matter what degree they have, no matter what their background is, no matter what their experiences are, a wise person always understands that there's more out there to learn. A mocker doesn't want truth. A mocker just wants to be left alone to do what they want to do. They don't want to be corrected. They don't want to be scolded. They want to be told why it's wrong. They want to do what's right in their own heart and eyes. Proverbs chapter 21, verse 24, the proud and arrogant person, the mocker is his name. So what is he saying here? Solomon is saying the two key ingredients for somebody that's a mocker is, one, you have pride. You think that you're better, or you think you know everything, that you need to know about something. and you have pride in your heart, so you think you are good enough. You're your own God. You dictate your own order, your own direction, your own path. You're God of your own life. They're also arrogant, so they like to share it. They like to tell people about it. They like to brag. They like to talk about their accomplishments as being something greater than anybody else has ever done in their life or ever been around. So if you want to be a mocker, seek a path of being proud and arrogant, and you will become a mocker. And in his name, he behaves with insults and fury. It's not just a one comment that's made. It's usually a fury of insults that a mocker, when you go to try to correct them or help them or encourage them in some way, and you try to help them along, you will find that you will receive insults. Instead of them seeking out truth, listening, seeing if anything is of value, they'll brush it right away and not even consider it. The last one I have here is Proverbs chapter 22, verse 10. Drive out the mocker, and out goes strife, quarrels, and insults are ended. This goes to show there are some people that have this idea that they just want to be such a disruptor that they don't want to have chemistry with anyone. They want to destroy organizations. They want to destroy cultures. They want to destroy environments because they're self-centered. They're not looking for the good of the all or for everyone else. They're looking at what's best for them. And they want to destroy anything that stands in their way to accomplish the ultimate goal, to make sure that they're happy, that they're satisfied, that they're taken care of, that their ego is met, and that they get to show who they are to everyone around them. They like to dominate others, and they like to destroy healthy cultures because they can show and stretch their muscles to destroy things around them. How do mockers destroy cultures? How do they destroy a family environment? How do they destroy a church? How do they destroy a business? I think we've all been in certain situations where there's been the mocker in the group, and they've wreaked havoc in our group or our job or our situation. They have not taken any correction. They don't take any instruction. You try to help along, and they hate you for it. So how do mockers destroy the culture? Number one, they seed division. Mockers pit people against each other through sarcasm, criticism, and innuendos. They ask cynical questions. They're not seeking truth. They're asking cynical questions to undermine leadership or stir doubt. They're trying to get everybody to be discouraged, everybody to lose hope. They're trying to get people against each other through sarcasm, criticism, or innuendos. If I can say that word right, innuendos. Okay. Anyhow, what they say sounds clever, but their goal isn't unity, it's disruption. Number two, they poison the atmosphere. Their presence creates insecurity, fear, and mistrust. Others become afraid to speak up. Maybe you'll have people afraid to speak up in a meeting because they'll be talked down to. They'll be looked down for answering or giving insight or giving answers to a question. They'll be shamed. They'll be uncoachable, and they make others hesitant to grow. Number four, they undermine authority. By mocking decisions, policies, or people behind their back, they erode respect. Think about that for a second. Mockers erode respect for those that are in authority, and they treat others with contempt. Others might start to adapt their tone or follow their lead, leading to a slow coup of the culture. If you want a healthy culture, as it says in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 10, you remove the mocker, and then you have peace. It's sad to say, but the mocker doesn't want, and it is probably the most dangerous type of personality types that you can have. One, because you don't respect God, you don't fear God, you don't value correction or instruction. You think everything is right in your own eyes. Now let's go to the fool. The fool knows better. In other words, they know the consequences to their actions, but they refuse to listen. They just constantly repeat their mistakes. Often live for pleasure, impulse, or pride, rejecting correction and refusing the discipline. Fools make the same mistake over and over. That's one of the key things about separates them from the mocker. They know right and wrong. They understand the consequences most of the time. They just don't care enough to do something about it. They'll repeat the same mistake over and over again in their life. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 23. A fool finds pleasure in wicked schemes. In other words, they love coming up with something that's going to be disruptive, discouraging. They like to come up with evil plans and evil schemes. But the person of understanding delights in wisdom. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 15, it says, the way of the fool seems right to them, but the wise listen to advice. See, this is what we see in the book of Judges. We'll do a study next year on the book of Judges. And one of the things that you'll find in the book of Judges that it says at the end, almost every section, it says they did what was right in their own eyes. One of the dangerous things that anybody can do is just do what you think is right. That you don't seek truth and you do what you think is okay to do. You justify it, you make excuses, you make reasons why it's okay to do the thing you do, instead of seeking truth and wanting to make wise choices, wise decisions that are going to lead to overall good for your life. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 2. Fool find no pleasure in understanding, but delight in airing their own opinions. You ever have people like that in your life? They just talk. They talk about their own opinions, and they have all these ideas and thoughts, and a lot of times they're looking inwardly, and they're not looking out. You know, one of the things that I think about is this: how do I define reality? How do I know what I'm doing is real? How do I know that reality is this is the reality that I live in? It's not just internal. Many people have issues when they just internalize the reality from here. If you just rely on your reality from inside you, you can go all kind of manner of directions. You leave yourself open to all kind of possibilities in your life to think all kinds of different thoughts. But if you look to God and you look to others that are around you that love Jesus, then you're going to help define your reality better, to make sure you define your reality beside you, outside of you, I should say. So what's one of the keys is, as far as being apart from a fool and being wise, is not just to look internal. A fool just looks inside what's going to make them happy. They live with their emotions. They live with what they feels good in the moment. They don't know how to break free. They've never thought about how to break free this cycle of what they live in, because they repeat their mistakes, because they stay in their environment. Proverbs chapter 26, verse 11. One of the most, you talk about a way to remember a verse, right? This is one of those things that we look at this verse here, Proverbs chapter 26, verse 11. It's like one of those verses that, like, wow, this really speaks. Have you ever witnessed this actually happening? It is gross. It is really, really, really gross. I would never in my life do that, right? That is just, right? I mean, think about it. As a dog returns to vomit, I mean, that's just stupid, right? But that's what a fool does. And what he means by this, it's a repeated action that happens in the fool's heart. They will never learn from their mistakes. They'll have ample opportunity to learn, this was a bad choice. This was a bad decision. Don't ever do that again. And they'll go back and they'll do the same mistake over and over and over again. This is what separates the fool from the others, because they'll just keep in their pattern and they'll keep it going. They'll keep doing the folly of their mistakes. And what a powerful imagery Solomon gives us to return, as a dog returns to the vomit, so a fool repents their folly. These are the reasons that fools repeat their mistakes. You ever wonder that? Why do fools repeat their mistakes? Number one, they reject correction. Fools often see correction as an attack instead of a gift. It's a really good question. Do we take correction as a gift? I know when me and my wife first got married, I didn't do that very much. I didn't think it was a gift. I thought it was just nitpicking. You're nitpicking on me. But if we start looking at as correction as gifts, it helps us to break the cycle. It helps us to keep us from repeating the same mistake over and over again. They don't listen to wisdom, so they stay stuck in their cycle. If I don't believe I'm wrong, I'll never change my ways. And that is so true. If I don't believe I'm wrong, it's really unlikely that you're going to change your ways. Number two, they're proud. Pride blinds them from the fool in their own pattern. They trust themselves too much. Again, inward focus. They're inward focused, and they look at themselves and they trust their abilities, their skill set, and they hold on to that rather than looking out for advice or guidance or direction for themselves. They look inward. Fools often act on impulse. Oh, sorry, I jumped ahead. Pride blinds the fool to their own patterns. They trust themselves too much and won't ask for help or accountability. I don't need advice. I've got this. They confuse emotional with wisdom. I've seen this happen so many times, where people will rely on their emotional instead of making wise decisions and wise choices. Let me just tell you something. For us that try to pursue wisdom, sometimes your decisions will be a cost. Sometimes there will be no joy in making wise choices. Many times, the wise person will make a decision that may cost them things and make it harder for them, but they make the choice because they have thought through the process and know the end result is what matters. The fool lives for the emotional high, and they live for that moment of happiness that they're willing to do whatever they can just to have that joy, or that, I shouldn't say joy because I feel like joy is more permanent, and that's what we have with Christ. Happiness or a fleeting moment is temporary. Even if it lasts a year or two, it's just a temporary high that we get. But a fool continually looks at what's going to make them happy. What's their desire? What do they want in the moment? Where a wise person thinks about, what do I want to accomplish down the road? Where do I want to head? Where do I want to go? There's a great book called 9 Things You Simply Must Do in Life and Love and Relationships. It's by Dr. Henry Cloud. And one of the things he talks about in that book is to play the movie forward. What is the end result of the movie? What do you want the outcome to be in the end? If you think through your decision making and you think about that process of how is this going to end, then you can make sure that you make the decision now that's going to lead to that final destination. Play the movie forward. One of the things that we need to do to become wise is to look at the end result. Where do we want to be heading? Where do we want to be going? Not letting our emotions dictate the decisions we make. To get a high, to get a moment of fleeting happiness that will pass away. But too many times, those that are the fool will look at their emotions and confuse wisdom with emotion. Another thing here is they are addicted to the familiar. Even painful habits can feel safe. Fools return to what's familiar, even if it's destructive, because they fear change or discomfort. Better the folly I fear, I know, than uncertainty I fear. In other words, like for me in high school. I had a group of friends that I felt like were friends, but really most of the time I was the butt of their jokes. I was the one teased or made fun of, the one they kind of like to have around to kind of, just pick on a little bit. And when I rededicated my life, I knew God was calling me out of that group of friends. And it was so scary to leave that group of friends because I knew I wasn't going to have anybody. And sometimes making decisions that lead to wisdom, you're going to be a little discomforted. You're going to be out of your element. And you're going to step out in a different area that's familiar to you so you can break the cycle. If you got people that are around you that are leading you down a wrong road or a bad decision or bad choices in your life, get out of the environment. Get out of the situation. Change your environment so that you can have some legs to stand on. But the fool will say, I'll stay where I'm at. I'm okay. I'll be good. The next one is that they refuse to learn from the consequences. Instead of asking, what did this teach me? The fool blames others. They make excuses. They minimize the damage. Maybe you have somebody in your life that's addicted to something, and you see them go through the same pattern over and over again, where it's like a cleansing, and then repeat, they go back, and then they come back, and then but they keep repeating the same pattern in their life. Maybe you have felt that way, that you keep repeating the same mistakes. Are you in the same environment, and are you learning from your consequences? Are you taking your consequences serious enough to make sure you don't make the same mistake twice? Actually, a fool needs strong consequences before they wake up. And it's hard for somebody that loves them to cares for them to see that happen, but many times the fool has to hit rock bottom before they realize that they need to change. They need something different in their life. They have to hit rock bottom for them to recognize that there needs to be a change in their life, or they're going to continue to repeat the same mistakes. They make light of sin. They treat their sin as just common. It's okay. It's not a big deal. It's not something like, I didn't murder anybody. I didn't kill anybody. But they'll do all these acts like commit adultery or other things, and they'll just act like it's not a big deal. It's okay if I sleep with 5 people. It's okay if I do this. It's okay if I do that. It doesn't matter my body count or whatever they say nowadays. It's totally fine. They make light of sin. They don't take it serious enough. They don't take their actions serious. And lastly here, they follow the wrong crowds. Fools often surround themselves with other fools who reinforce the same pattern and encourage more folly. Choosing your friends is very important. I know as a parent, I'm sure you as parents have shared with your kids many times, make sure you choose the right friends. It doesn't mean we can't be evangelists and share the gospel with people, but your core friends should be people that will lead you to wisdom rather than folly, rather than fools, rather than mockers. Now we go to the simple. The simple are the uninformed, neither committed to wisdom nor rebellion. Also, many times in the scriptures, you'll see them referred to as often young, untainted, or fearful of asking questions. And I would say this is where I was. Like, when I first started out, I didn't have a lot of knowledge or wisdom, but yet I was scared to ask questions. If there's one thing I could tell you today, one of the key factors to be wise is to ask questions, to talk to people, to ask and get advice, to seek God and ask God's advice, to read the scriptures and look out. Don't be afraid to ask questions, but I was there. I was scared. I didn't want to be the fool. I didn't want people to think I was bad or I was dumb or didn't know things, I don't know what a manifold is, or I didn't know what a transmit. I don't know any of that stuff with the car or hunting and things like that. And so I would be rather just be naive and not ask questions because I was scared. I was afraid. Maybe you've been like that, but simple is not an excuse though, because you can always go after, as we'll talk about next week. Wisdom is always calling out. Wisdom is always out there for all of us. If you ask God for wisdom, God will continue and graciously give it to us if we ask him. But many times we don't ask God for wisdom. We don't seek God's wisdom on things. we want to remain simple. We're okay with not knowing because we're scared or we're afraid or we're young. We don't have the experiences that other people have. We don't have the knowledge. We haven't maybe faced consequences, and that's why it may be a younger person. Proverbs chapter 7, verse 7, I saw among them the simple. I noticed among the young men a youth who had no sense. They don't really have a sense. They are able to be molded and shaped, but they're not at that point where they've really experienced much in life. Proverbs chapter 8, verse 5, you who are simple, gain prudence. You who are foolish, set your hearts on it. So what does prudence mean? Again, let's just give it another thought to prudence. Prudence is the ability to apply wisdom with careful thought, moral discernment, and practical planning. It's what helps someone avoid foolishness by thinking ahead and acting in the light of God's truth. One of my favorite movies, and I haven't ever read the book, but it's Count of Monte Cristo. The one version I like is the one that it's the guy who played Jesus in the Passion of the Christ movie, Jim Caviezel. So I love that movie because in the movie, Edmund is the character's name. He starts out simple. He just doesn't see the consequences. He doesn't think about the dangers around him. He doesn't see the dangers around him because he's just innocent and frail in a way. And you kind of feel bad for him because he is simple. He just doesn't know. He's a great guy in the movie, but he's simple. And because of his simpleness, he becomes taken advantage of, and he gets betrayed. And he gets thrown into prison that he didn't do anything wrong, and he gets thrown into prison because you just didn't realize what he had done because he was simple. In the movie, it goes on to where at the end, he becomes wise because of everything he learns and everything he's taught by a cellmate that he's with. So it's just a powerful movie that captured this idea of a simple person evolving into a wise person. And I think that's why I like it so much. It's just a great story. So here, let's look at Proverbs chapter 14, verse 15. It says, the simple believe anything. Why do they believe anything? Because they just don't know. So they'll take good advice, they'll take bad advice. Their motive isn't bound by wisdom or being the fool or being the mocker. They just don't have enough information to make, and that's why they're easily influenced. It's at a great stage where they can be molded and shaped, but they're not there yet. They need to have somebody in their life that will help mold them and shape them, become who they are. This is why a lot of times we think about children, we think about teens, we think about kids that are just starting out, that maybe they just don't know, and you're teaching them these things so they do know. The simple believes in anything, but the prudent, again, those that think ahead and plan ahead, give thought to their steps. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 12, the prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. They don't see the danger. They got blinders on. They just don't know how to recognize something bad. They don't perceive somebody trying to take advantage of them. They don't think about consequences. Like, they don't know what the consequences are. They haven't been informed. They don't know. So sometimes they'll just make a decision, and it's like, they didn't know. They didn't understand. So they keep going. And they end up paying the penalty because they find themselves in a situation where, like, oh no, I didn't realize this, just like Edmund in the Count of Monte Cristo. So, moving on to the simple, and why do the simple struggle? The simple struggle, one, because the simple aren't necessarily rebellious. They often are young, new in faith, or untested in life. They haven't seen the consequences of certain choices yet, so they don't realize the value of thinking ahead. Again, let me just stress that. They don't see the value of thinking ahead. They don't realize the value of it. They live in the moment, not in the future. As I thought about this morning in first service, it's like I just want to make it through the day. The simple just want to get through the day. I just want to get through the day. I'm not thinking about what my actions are like tomorrow. I just want to fake it until I make it, right? So just get me through the day and I'll be good. They're not thinking about how their choices can matter for later on. Number two, they fear looking like the fool, which I shared about. Because they lack confidence or deep understanding, the simple often go along with the loudest voice rather than asking good questions. Think about that for a second. They'll listen to the loudest voice, thinking that's the answer. That's the answer. That person there, that's 10 times louder than this person here that has wisdom. One of the things I've shared before, some of the wisest people in this church, or people that you know, say very little. They'll ask good questions, though. They'll ask really, really good questions. And I admire those type of people. I got to tell you a story. It doesn't have anything to do with the message, but we bought our house off Glenn Tracewell. And Glenn Tracewell had a letter from Sunset Memorial Gardens coming to my house. And he told me to open it. I took a picture of it. I showed it to him. And he replied back, "Thanks a plot." I thought that was hilarious, you guys. Thanks a plot. It was about his plots. I guess I should have told you that part. I didn't really build the joke up good enough. But anyhow, but I guess I think about him because he is a man that, again, when he speaks, you want to listen to because there's some value there. And I think there's a lot of people in our lives that we could look to. Just because they don't say a lot doesn't mean they're not thinking and they're not wise. Listen to what they have to say because they can bring some truth to you that you might need to hear. Don't be afraid of looking like the fool, though. That's one of the things I had to overcome. I know for me, growing up in an abusive situation in my family, my dad, it was very scary for me, so I was scared to ask questions. That's why I remained simple for so long, because I was just scared. I was afraid. I didn't want to look like an idiot. I didn't want to be told I was an idiot. I don't want to be told I was dumb. So a lot of times I was just scared to ask. Don't let fear stop you from asking good questions. I think it was, Steve Jobs who said that he just started asking questions and called, I think it was IBM or Hewlett Packard, and said, "Hey, I want this for a school project." And the president of the company was like, "Wow, they shocked this young kid that's 12 years old is asking me questions about computers." So he invited him in and said, "Yeah, come on in, take this stuff. Yeah, we're not using it." And just asking the right questions sometimes leads you to the next step in your life. And I think that's very interesting when you're wise and you're thinking about things of that nature. Don't be afraid to ask good questions. They are easily influenced. The simple are often shaped by their environment more than wisdom. They trust the wrong people and ideas without questioning them. The simple often don't discern between wisdom and foolishness because they haven't developed the proper information that they have been informed, or they're uninformed and necessarily unwilling. Number 4, they live reactively, not thoughtfully. With prudence requires thinking ahead, weighing consequences, and choosing long-term good over short-term pleasures. That's discipline the simple haven't cultivated. They haven't grown it. In other words, the simple haven't gotten a pattern to cultivate healthy ability to discern between right and wrong. And so the simple have to grow in that capacity to learn from right and wrong. Lastly here, they need mentorship and modeling. They need to look up to people. They need people around them that they can look up to grow and become stronger and wiser. The last person here that we're going to talk about today is the wise. The wise are not perfect. Again, let me just stress that. The wise don't even see themselves as perfect. They don't think they've arrived yet. They don't feel like that they've accomplished enough yet. The wise want to continue to grow in their understanding. They want to continue to grow in truth. They want to continue to experience knowledge and wisdom together. They want to be guided. They want to learn from other people. A lot of times wise people will also associate with them. They will be around other people. They will be willing to be around other people that are younger than them because they want to learn from them, not just for their peers or people that are older than them. They value young people too because they see that every one of us have giftedness. Every one of us have talents and abilities. They see that every one of us have something that we can give to another person. They value other human beings because they themselves feed off that, because they want to understand and grow in the knowledge they have. They love God's word because they see the truth that's there and they value it. Wisdom in Proverbs isn't just knowledge, it's skillful living in the fear of the Lord. They grow by learning on God's truth, not their own understanding. They lean on God. So here's some verses for this. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 9. Instruct the wise, and they will be wiser still. Teach the righteous, and they will add to the learning. Again, they want to continue to grow. They have this capacity inside them that they want to continue to listen and grow. It's not self-centeredness. It's not pride. It's not looking at themselves to brag on themselves. They're not coming in a meeting saying, look at what I did. They're oftentimes, look at what we accomplished together. Look at what God's doing. Look at how God's using us. It's not about a title or a position. It's not trying to be famous. It's not trying to toot their own horns. They're more happy to make a team succeed rather than having their own success. That's somebody that's wise. The heart of the wise accepts commands, but a chattering fool comes to ruin. Again, you don't have to talk a lot being wise. Wise people don't have to say a lot. It's just pointing at things that they say. Sometimes a wise person will listen to a fool chatter a lot and talk, and a wise person just listens and just waits for the opportunity to chime in. Because when the person's just doing this, their ears are blocked off, and they don't want to listen to anything you have to say. So a wise person looks for the appropriate time and the right opportunity to speak into that person's life. They let them go on, and then they'll talk, and they'll share poignant, encouraging statements to lead that person to hopefully have some correction in their own life if they'll accept it. The wise, they'll take commands. They'll accept instruction. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 30. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and the ones who is wise saves lives. See, a wise person, it's always about looking out for other people. It's not looking for your own things and your own desires or just your families. You're looking out for others around you. You're looking at how you can make them better, how you can help them grow, how you can help them succeed, how you can mentor other people, how you can develop other people, how you can encourage people. You're here for a purpose greater than yourself. You're here because you want to help save lives. And isn't that amazing? That's what God's heart is. That's why he's wise. Because God's not in it for himself. He's in it for us. He came and sent his son to die for us. Proverbs 15:31. Whoever heeds life-giving correction will be at home among the wise. What are the habits and practices of the wise? What are the habits? What are the things that we can do today to become wiser? Number one, fear the Lord. That is the beginning of wisdom. Respect God's authority in your life. Some people say, oh, I love God. I love God. I care about God. I love him. Do you respect him enough to follow his commands? Do you respect him enough to follow his law? Do you live out loving your neighbor as yourself? Do you love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind? Let me repeat that for a second because I think we just hear that. We don't really think about it. Do we love God with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our mind? Do you? With all of your heart, your mind, and your soul? It's an easy phrase to say, but when you think about the application of it, do we really apply it? Because that's the greater thing. A wise person applies it. They don't just hear it and know it. They actually make use of it. And if you're going to make use of it, you got to follow it. And so the question is, do I really love God with all my heart, my soul, my mind? Is my being here right now in your presence for God, or is it for myself? Do I love my neighbor as myself? Do I care about those around me? Do I look out? Or am I just selfish and I just look inside? What makes me happy? The habit And practices of the wise is to listen and learn. We got to be active listeners. We got to be those that listen because we want to find out what somebody else knows. We want to hear from other people because we see value in what they say. We see the value of what they have to bring. We see that they have something of worth. This goes back to loving people, I think, is if I really love people, then why wouldn't I want to listen to them? Why wouldn't I want to respect them enough to hear what they have to say? Maybe they have a viewpoint. Maybe I differ with their viewpoint. Maybe I don't like their viewpoint. But for me to acknowledge them as a person, I need to listen to them enough to listen and honor them with respect, to value them enough to say, you may be wrong in my mind, but in my heart, I want to get to know you. I want to know what you think. And the only way to help people change is for us to really know what's coming out of their heart. We can't help people grow in their faith if we just don't know what the heart is saying. So again, I'll go to this. A lot of times we focus on behavior. We want people to stop doing this sin in their life. We want people to stop doing this action. We want people to show us respect. We want people to show us love. We want them to change their behavior. But what is most important, and always will be most important, is what is their heart doing? What is their heart? What is inside of them? What is making them do this behavior? That is a greater question. Because if they're letting sin rule their life, that behavior is always going to occur. You won't be able to fix that behavior, but you can help them fix their heart. You can help them bring them back to God. You can help them grow in their faith to understand there's a loving God who loves them, who's calling them out of their sin. You receive correction. A wise person, they're always receiving correction. And they don't see it as negative. And I'll be honest with you, I don't always like correction, and that is my foolish side. Because correction, many times, is not there to punish you or harm you. It's there to help you so that you can be your best, so you can do a good job, so you can be more of what God wants you to be. And sometimes God's using people around you to speak in your life because they love you and they love God. So listen to them. Maybe God's using them to speak to you because you've been ignoring God and what he's been saying. And now you need to listen to those around you because they care about you too. Next habit of the wise is to walk with wisdom. In other words, every day I want to walk in wisdom. I want to just walk it. I don't want to just, I want to make good decisions. I want to live that way. A wise person, they're never done with the journey. They never stop. They never quit. They just keep seeking, making good choices. They walk in it. They pursue peace and integrity. They pursue peace and integrity. And lastly here, they avoid foolish paths. They avoid foolish decisions. They look at the movie and they play it forward. They look at what is this decision going to do? Is this going to cause me too much debt? Is this going to cause financial problems for me in the future? Am I able to purchase this or I'm not? Should I hang around with this group of people or not? Are these people healthy environment for me to be in, or is it an unhealthy environment for me to be in? Is this a good situation for me to do? And they don't think about the day. They don't think about the weeks. They think about they think about years ahead and seeing how that's going to play out. One of the greatest things I've learned, and it's come from Kim Blanchard, one of the greatest things that I've done in my life is write 3 words out that I want people to think about me when I'm dead. And I know that seems, my wife tells me all the time, stop talking about death. I talk about death way too much. But it's a reality. It's a reality. But what are the 3 words that you would like people to say about you? What are 3 words that you would like people to say about you when you're gone? Because if you don't say them now, if you don't live them out as if that's what you want to be, what's the purpose? Those 3 words should be something that you want to drive towards, move towards, go towards in your life. You want to avoid foolish paths. You want to think and make wise choices that will lead to life, that lead to good things. As we close this message today, And I hope you just take a deeper dive into the scriptures because, like I said, I can't really do it justice of all the wisdom that is there that you should study, you should read, and dive deeper into. But I want to ask you some of these questions to you. Before I do that, let me just say this. I can look at my life, and I think there's areas of my life where I'm the mocker. I don't really want truth. I laugh at it. There's areas of my life where I'm playing the fool, and I just repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again. And then there's areas of my life where I'm very simple. I haven't learned about the subject. I haven't looked at the consequences or the decisions that I should make. I'm ignorant. I just don't know. It's not a bad thing, but it doesn't mean I have to stay there. And then finally, there's sometimes I'm wise. And I think wise people recognize that they're all four sometimes. That there's areas of their life where they play the mocker. There's areas of their life where they play the fool. There's areas of their life they play the simple. But hopefully, we all get wiser. Hopefully, we all pursue wisdom. Now, let me ask you these questions. Am I shutting others down or mocking what's uncomfortable? Am I shutting others down or mocking what's uncomfortable to me? That's the mocker. Am I listening to correction here? Am I listening to correction? If not, maybe I'm acting like the fool. Am I aware of what I don't know? If not, I might be the simple. Am I seeking God's truth humbly with reverence and respect? That is the wise. If you have any of these, don't be discouraged by this. This is your moment. This is your opportunity to change, to operate your life differently, to seek wisdom. Be grateful that you see it, that's wisdom already at work. The more aware you are of where you are foolish or simple or the mocker, the more you invite growth to really take place. Wisdom is calling out in every direction. You don't have to stay stuck in your category. Then I have a little note that says stack chair video. So we'll do that later. Squirrel. Why am I looking up there? Bird. As we have this time of prayer, I do want you to think about these four things. And as you read Proverbs, I again encourage you to read Proverbs. As we have the song of invitation, I just want to encourage you to keep that in mind, that we have to we can't make excuses for where we are. Don't be a mocker. Don't just laugh everything off. Don't just throw insults around. Why do you need to do that anyhow? Don't keep the same pattern. Don't keep making the same mistakes and be the fool. Don't be the simple. Be wise. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this opportunity, and I thank you for Father's Day. And I pray that every father, every mentor, every person that leads and models a life that is worthy of living for you, that we would just appreciate each one. I thank you for those that have gone before me and those that have showed me the way. I thank you for my grandfather. I thank you for my uncles. I thank you for many people in my life that you brought through my life at different periods of time that I've been able to look up to and just respect the wisdom that they have. Lord, I know I'm not done, and I want to be wiser. Forgive me in the places where I mock, and I am the mocker. Forgive me at times where I'm the fool and I've been making the same mistake over and over again. Help me break the cycle. Help me to walk away from the simple, to find truth, to seek out what you really want for me. Help me to ask good questions, to be among the wise that listen and seek truth. In your name I pray, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Would you stand and join us? Lord, I come, I confess, bowing here, I find my rest. Without you, I fall apart. You're the one that guides my heart. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. Where sin runs deep, your grace is more. Where grace is found is where you are. And where you are, Lord, I am free. Holiness is Christ in me. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. So teach my soul to rise to you. When temptation comes my way, and when I cannot stand, I'll follow you. Jesus, you're my hope and stay. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. You're my one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you.
So one of the great things that this church has always done is have tremendous Vacation Bible School. And hundreds of kids will be here starting tomorrow, and they'll hear the gospel. There'll be hundreds of volunteers to work with these kids. I just want to tell everybody, if you're volunteering or you've done anything, whether decorating the stage or decorating out there, thank you for all the time, energy, and effort you put into that. This is why our church is tremendous, is because I see so many people's heart, that they put their heart into it. And I'm just so thankful to be a part of this church family. And thank you for allowing your kids to be here on this week to learn about Christ. And my prayer is that we'll see more baptisms. My prayer is that we'll see more people being called to ministry, to be missionaries, to be teachers, to be pastors in this church. And I know sometimes I don't always do my best preaching, but I will tell you this. that God is what makes this church strong. And the love that's here is what makes this church good. And as long as we keep God in first place and we continue to show the love that he has for each of us, God can do great things inside of every one of us. So we're going to show a quick video after I pray, and then we're going to tear down all of our chairs here to make room for everybody here tomorrow for Vacation Bible School. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I pray in this moment right now for Vacation Bible School. We thank you for Tricia and the children's ministry and all the volunteers to make this become a reality. And I know there's many that have given their time this past week to decorate, and it looks awesome. But I thank you that it's not just the decorations that makes this a Vacation Bible School special. It's because we have volunteers that love you, that want to share the good news with the kids that come. And we pray for every kid, every child that comes, that they would be fed by your Holy Spirit, that they would